And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. There are few states where the importance of water quality is any more evident than in Michigan, the Great Lakes state. I'm a fisherman and canoer, and I spend dozens, probably hundreds of hours on the waters of Michigan's lakes and rivers and streams. I also serve the community that provides drinking water to 400,000 residents of the city of Grand Rapids and its near suburbs. Protecting water, ensuring pure water for generations to come, I see that as a top priority. Unfortunately, Michigan has underinvested in water infrastructure over the years, and we now find ourselves in a place of urgency. Ask the people of Flint if clean drinking water should be a priority. Ask people below the Sanford and Edenville dams on the Tittabawassee River if flood control and dam maintenance should be a priority. Ask the people of Saginaw Bay or the western end of Lake Erie if keeping their water clear of stinking, toxic blue-green algae should be a priority. Historically, the responsibility for providing clean drinking water, managing wastewater, and addressing both surface and subsurface water quality and quantity issues has fallen on local government, where resources are always stretched to the limits and where clean water is only one of many urgent issues to be paid for with scant local tax resources. Governor Whitmer's fiscal year 2022 executive budget and the new Michigan Clean Water Grants programs gives a hand to local governments in addressing this most urgent of priorities. The governor recognizes that the state has a key role to play in promoting clean and healthy drinking water and ensuring that wastewater, when it's returned to the natural systems, meets high water purity standards and does not pose a threat to human health or to the ecosystems to which it returns. I served in local elected office for 20 years, 8 as city commissioner and 12 as mayor of Grand Rapids. During those years, the city completed the full separation of its stormwater and wastewater systems, ensuring that never again would our sanitary sewers overflow into the Grand River, making life unpleasant, in fact, unhealthy for everyone living downstream. Separating combined sewers is not an inexpensive proposition. The cost was nearly $400 million. And virtually all of that cost was borne by the taxpayers of Grand Rapids. The federal government provided a mere 7% of the cost. I only wish that the state at that time had seen this as a priority and been willing to help. Also, during my tenure in office, Grand Rapids suffered from early impacts of climate change with increased numbers of major extreme precipitation events that resulted in flooding of the Grand River. We had millions of dollars of property damage. We saw critical infrastructure stressed to the max. And when the waters receded, we were forced to make massive investments to protect our community from any future such events. There was no federal support. There was scant state support. Grand Rapids was on its own. Governor Whitmer recognizes that providing safe drinking water, ensuring proper treatment of wastewater, and protecting homeowners and businesses from the devastating impacts of climate change is a responsibility for all of us in the state of Michigan. And that's why the administration's fiscal year 2022 budget includes $290 million in infrastructure grants for the Michigan Clean Water Plan, and it addresses sewer overflows and the problems of groundwater pollution from failing septic systems. It's why the budget proposes $40 million to assist local governments in addressing high water levels and flooding. And further, because there are so many deficient dams on Michigan rivers, the governor's budget proposes $15 million for dam safety. Also, groundwater is a priority issue for communities who tap underground aquifers for their drinking water, or for farmers who need uncontaminated water to irrigate their crops, and of course for craft beer brewers and food processors who require pure water sources for their products. The FY 2022 budget provides $20 million to clean contaminated sites that threaten groundwater and human health. Look, water is Michigan's brand. I drove through the town of White Cloud last week, and I was greeted at the city limits with a welcoming sign that says, "White Cloud, where the north begins and pure water flows." I'm old enough to remember when our state motto was Water Wonderland. And now we're pure Michigan. Our quality of life, our tourism industry, so many of the recreational assets that we enjoy, they all assume that we will have clean, pure, beautiful water forever. But folks, it ain't necessarily so. If we don't invest in water, if we don't do everything we can to protect our water, well, we could squander this natural resource, this gift of life. And at a time when regions of our country are drying up, are burning up, if we destroy our water, it will be to our shame. Generations yet unborn will look back and wonder, what were they thinking? This budget goes a long way toward protecting the Michigan legacy of clear water, clean water, pure water, safe and healthy water. Thank you, Jeremy.